Hello students, this is Mrs. K. We're just going to do some more work today on inferring, just practicing that skill. Now you've watched along as I've worked through some inferring before now, and so what I want you to do today, I'm just going to show you how I'm actually filling out one of our charts, and that's helping me to think clearly about inferring. Just trying to find another nice page of writing here. Okay. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're practicing using that skill of inferring. Now you'll recall in our last lesson that I read through this little passage of writing here about a zebra, and then I've used those things that I've learned in there to actually infer more information, something that the writer didn't tell me, but now now I'm thinking about that because I've inferred even more information from what the writer has told me. So you'll remember that I read about zebras, okay, and I read this whole passage about zebras. When it came down to it, it told us that zebras' stripes patterns are unique. They might be very, very similar, but they are unique. And that made me think that probably if you worked in a zoo and you were around the same zebras quite a bit, you could probably eventually tell them apart just by their stripe patterns. Maybe some would be really tricky because their stripe patterns can be really similar, but possibly you'd eventually be able to tell them apart. So I'm going to write in here, zookeepers. Oh, sorry, I'll show you the page that I'm writing on first of all. This is the page I'm writing on. So the worksheet that I'm using is this one here, I Think T-chart. So you'll have quite a number of these in your books ready to use. So you can work along with me today. First, we're going to write the things that I worked out from here because today is our join-in lesson. Remember, we always do a watch and a join-in, and then a one that you do and I give you some hints about, and then one that you completely do by yourself. So this lesson is our join-in lesson. So we're just going to write down on our T-chart, the I Think T-chart. Make sure you've got that out and you're ready to work on it. I'm going to start to write down my ideas because this is a join-in one, so you're just joining in with me this time, but you can do some as well. That's a good idea too. So zookeepers could possibly be able to tell zebras apart by their stripe. Oh, goodness me, my pen's getting a bit funny. Patterns. Don't you love it when you pick up a nice pen and then it just doesn't want to work right clearly? I need to use a pen so when I hold it up to the camera, you'll be able to see what I've written. Okay, so I've written in here, this is what I think. I think that zookeepers could possibly be able to tell zebras apart by their stripe patterns. Just hold that right up to the camera so you can see. Okay, so that's what I've written down there. Now, the next column it says, and that's what I think. And why do I think that? I think that because what? What are the things that are my evidence? The evidence from the text that tell me that. The evidence from the text is, I'm going to put in the little quotation marks here because I'm going to write out what it says in that final sentence. Although the patterns can be very similar, no two zebras have exactly the same stripe. And another two quotation marks here. Okay, so that's what I've written. I've written that, here we go, what I think about zookeepers might be able to tell them apart. And over here, I've written the evidence from the text. I've just quoted an exact thing that the author has said. Let's hold that up nicely in front of the camera for you. So that I've got the evidence. I've got the thing that I've inferred. Here is that. And then I've got the evidence for that. Okay, let's do another one. Let's read this passage of writing that's on the same page right next to it. Looks just like this. It's in your writing paragraphs section of your learning materials. The Paralympics is an international sporting event. The athletes who complete have a physical, vision or intellectual impairment. During the events, Paralympians are given an equal opportunity to compete with other athletes with similar impairments. Some of the sports include wheelchair tennis, sitting volleyball, and athletics. The Paralympics are held every 4 years in the same host city as the traditional games. So what can I tell from this piece of writing? It's okay if you come up with your own. You might come up with your own thing that you inferred. So we're not going to write down exactly what they've said or something that they've told us in our own words. That's not what we're doing at all. What we're doing is writing down something that the author has not told us, but that we're able to work out given the other things that the author has said. Okay, during the event, Paralympians are given an equal opportunity to compete with other athletes with similar impairments. Okay, there we go. During the, you see where we are? During the event, Paralympians are given opportunity to compete, an equal opportunity to compete with other athletes with similar impairments. At the Paralympics, they compete, people who have some kind of disability compete with other people who have a similar kind of disability. So this is what I'm going to infer from that. I'm going to say that that tells me that we would not have people with very different kinds of disability competing in the same event. They would not compete against someone with a very different kind of disability. So that's going to be what I'm going to write down as what I have inferred from that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that they don't compete against people with really different kinds of disability. He said that they compete against people with very similar kinds of disability. But using my thinking, my ability to infer, that's what I've inferred. At the Paralympics, sorry, it's not Paralympics, it's Paralympics. People do not compete against people with very different kinds of disability. Oh goodness, my pen just does not want to work for me anymore. I might need to get a new one out. Okay, so I've written down in this box which says what you have inferred. I think, there it is, I think that's what I have inferred. I think that at the Paralympics, people do not compete against people with very different kinds of disabilities. So somebody who has, say, one arm and does not have the other arm would not compete against someone who has one leg but doesn't have the other leg, because that's really different. Someone who has a hearing problem wouldn't be competing against somebody who has, say, one leg, because those are very different kinds of disabilities, aren't they? So that's what we're saying. And I can tell that because of what they told me in the text. And find another pen. It's going to write just as well for us, or hopefully much better than my other pen. There we go. Okay, so that's what I'm going to write down. Now I'm going to write down the part out of the text, which part in here told me that, even though he didn't actually say it, which part in the text told me that. And it's here. During the event, Paralympians are given an equal opportunity to compete against other athletes with similar impairments. Let's write that down. During the Paralympics, won't word that one. Oh, sorry, it should be during the event. Comma, Paralympians are given the opportunity to compete with other athletes with similar impairments. Okay, so I've done that for that particular article now. For that piece of writing, I've written down what I inferred, and I've written down the exact information from the text that helped me to infer this. So I based it on that evidence, I thought about it, and I got some other conclusion other than what the author had actually given me. I came up with a conclusion of my own that lines up with what the author has said. Is that what you're able to do as well? Are you able to do inferring when you're reading a text? Okay, here's another one that we can work on. Ah, there we go. Let's find this other page. Okay, let's read this one. Let's read this one about sharks. There we go. Sharks. Sharks are the top predators of the ocean's natural food chain. They have incredibly sharp teeth and they never run out of them. If a shark loses a tooth, another moves forward from within the shark's jaw. This way, it is almost impossible for a shark to end up without a full set of teeth. A shark may grow and use over 20,000 teeth in its lifetime. That is an interesting piece of writing. Now, they've given us lots of information here, and I hope that you've gotten this page out of your folder and that you're reading it for yourself, because it's time for you to really join in now and start to do some of this work alongside of me. So I would like for you to be filling in your I think T chart, and hopefully you've done these ones. But if you haven't done those, you definitely need to work on this next section. Sharks are the top predators of the ocean's natural food chain. They have incredibly sharp teeth and never run out of them. If a shark loses a tooth, another moves forward from within the shark's jaw. This way, it is almost impossible for a shark to end up without a full set of teeth. A shark may grow and use over 20,000 teeth in its lifetime. Okay. A shark may grow and use over 20,000 teeth in its lifetime. So this is what that makes me think. If a shark grows and uses that many teeth in a lifetime, I'm thinking that sharks must lose a lot of teeth. I'm thinking that there must be a fair number of shark teeth that fall into the ocean floor, that are washed up on beaches. So that's what I'm inferring from it. I'm going to write down there must be lots of old shark teeth in the ocean or on the beach. Does that make sense? Now, the author didn't tell me that there's lots of old shark teeth in the ocean. They didn't tell me there's lots on the beach, but it makes sense, doesn't it? I can use my thinking to work out, well, there must be, because there's always losing teeth and growing teeth. 20,000 teeth in a lifetime. It's a lot of teeth. Okay. So that's what I'm going to write down here. A shark may grow and use 20,000 teeth in its lifetime. Okay, so that's what I have done for this one. There must be lots of old shark teeth on the beach, in the ocean or on the beach. That's what I have inferred. That's what I worked out myself, and I based it on this sentence, the last sentence, a shark may grow and use 20,000 teeth in its lifetime. Okay, so what I want you to do now, challenge yourself. See if you can come up with an inference. Read this passage here and see if you can come up with another one. I can think of a couple of other things that I could work out that must be true when I read this. So work out an inference, and then as well as that, once you've worked out your inference, write the inference in here. And over here, write out the sentence or so, the piece of writing from the author that gives you enough information for you to make that inference. Okay, that's the end of our lesson today. Thank you so much for coming along. We'll get together again, and soon you'll be the one doing the inferring, and I just might give you some hints about what you may or may not infer. I'll give you some questions. You can have a go at inferring something from a piece of writing. Okay, bye everybody. See you soon.